It is said you can't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. Tonight we're taking you back to where all the problems started. Time stands still for no one.
Ain't no sunshine.
Ain't no sunshine.
But throughout the years, some things never change.
Bang, bang, pow, pow, I do my bang, bang, look at me now.
All the gang members basically are thinking about the same thing. They think about making money, they think about the violence that goes along with the gangs, and they think about the girls, the women that they can get out here.
Just like 20 years ago, today, the life of a gang member is all about status, getting it and keeping it, no matter what it takes.
These gang members make a lot of money. And they make a lot of money selling dope, not necessarily shooting and everything, but the money that they get from, selling these drugs out here, it's unbelievable.
No one knows these gangs better than SAPD Detective John.
When we don't have the answer or we don't know who this person is, that's where we go. He's like our resource. It seems like he knows everybody.
Because of the work he does, we cannot show you his face. For 20 years, John has seen entire family trees go down the path of gang life as a member of SAPD's elite gang unit.
Not only am I seeing those guys that I handled back in the early 90s that are now getting out of the penitentiary, but they have kids that are now involved in the same gang that they belong to.
Although the job forces them to see violent crime day in and day out, it doesn't make images like this one on Christmas Day of last year any easier to swallow for anyone.
There's something when a young kid is shot that's just out playing, trying to live a normal life. It tugs on your heartstrings, but at that, as a police officer, you want to do something about it.
When something like that happens, it's not over right there.
And we're being told that 50 rounds had been fired on Corliss first, that they have apprehended one person, 2 people are still on the loose.
It's going to get worse before it gets better.
This is undermining our community.
At a packed community meeting in January, residents were crying out for more help.
It was evident that the residents in the east portion of the city were extremely concerned about what was going on.
You never know. You can just be sitting at home watching TV and get shot. This makes no sense.
But in John's 20 years, it's never made any sense.
You have to try to gain control over it somehow and keep it in check.
Most of the shootings that took place around Christmas fell under one of the 3 main reasons for the violence.
One of them is going to be drug related. One gang is thinking that the other gang is making more money, so they're going to go shoot at them because they want to eliminate, their competition.
The other problem is women being involved with gang members from 2 different gangs. That's believed to be the reason for the Christmas Day shooting on Belmont. And the other main reason is believed to have cost a young man his life as he walked down Sprigsdale during the shooting spree.
We saw you in our neighborhood before. That's disrespectful to us. Now we're going to go find you and say you can't just roll up in our neighborhood like that.
The one thing that has changed, according to John, is the gang member's mobility and his comfort zone.
Although they've grown up in this neighborhood and this is the East Terrace gangster area, they move out to the north side. They go and they get apartments out there. They heard, north side is nice and they make their money selling dope and they move out of the neighborhood, but they always come back.
So with 2 people dead and over 10 injured in less than 2 weeks in drive-by shootings, the San Antonio Police Department had to come up with a plan. And unlike the last major operation, they're not targeting a particular gang. The criminal activity will lead them to those who are causing most of the problems in our streets. On Wednesday night, you have a date right here on Fox San Antonio when we'll take you where no other cameras were allowed with San Antonio Police Department's gang unit as they carried out Operation Triple Beam.
Police, your hands!
It's our job. It's the best job in the world. I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Through the eyes of the true heroes of this operation, I will take you on a wild, exclusive ride that took them 5 months to complete. Jami Virgen, Fox News at 9. You can run, but you can't hide forever.
If you're involved in the gang, it doesn't matter what side of town you're going to be in. At some point, you're going to run into us.
Especially when you got the law on your heels.
We may not have gotten you today, but we'll get you tomorrow.
Why you're being picked up today, sir?
No, ma'am.
No idea?
No, ma'am.
Really?
No, ma'am. I just got out of jail.
For the San Antonio Police Department's gang unit, seeing the spike in shootings during December put them in a clear path to find the missing link that tied it all together.
We believe it also related to the sales of drugs and trying to corner that particular market or turf or whatever you want to call it, because they're making a lot of money.
Most of the shootings also involved firearms, gang affiliation, and repeat offenders. Knowing that, detectives came up with a plan.
We gather every bit of information through our intelligence unit, and what we do is connect the dots, so to speak.
Key to their intensive investigation is the help of the community.
They're the first people that we look to for information, because in reality, they're the ones that have to live there.
But getting people to testify against gang members and criminals is another thing. Knowing this, the gang unit's job was to become the complainant, hitting the streets with the gang unit, U.S. Marshals with a full blessing of their headquarters in Washington, D.C., to launch Operation Triple Beam Alliance. Fox San Antonio cameras rode exclusively with gang officers for over 200 hours in 10 weeks. Officers' constant contact with both law-abiding citizens.
Hello. How are y'all doing?
And those who are out to break the law.
Apparently there was just a little more than traffic stuff. Apparently he had some marijuana.
In some cases led to information that was then used by investigators.
We recognized the passenger of the vehicle immediately. He's somebody we've dealt with in the past.
What may seem like a simple traffic stop by a uniformed officer, in many cases became the catalyst that allowed gang unit detectives to get thousands in cash, drugs, weapons, and repeat offenders off the streets of San Antonio.
So much work, dedication. They're very professional, and they basically get the job done.
One of these stops led the gang unit to an apartment where they had what some say is one of the largest amount of crack seized in one place. A total of 21 cookies or 42 ounces of crack were found. The value estimated close to $70,000. DEA agents would assist in identifying the source of drugs, some coming into San Antonio from as far away as Mexico. Weapons found are also being traced with the help of the ATF, but the drugs and the weapons don't sell themselves. That's where the probation department joined in the operation with more aggressive probation checks.
Put that camera on my face.
If you're not going to abide by your conditions of probation, then we'll have a place for you, whether it's Bexar County Jail or the penitentiary.
The sight of so many officers arriving to do a probation check in some cases was enough to scare some who weren't even on the list. For some, their new crimes would put them in federal custody, where the amount of drugs, weapons, gang affiliation, and criminal record could put them away for life. In their world of crime, money is everything, so those found guilty will also be hit where it hurts, in the pocketbook.
We're not selling drugs to make money to put into a 401k. They're spending money on cars, on houses, boats, planes, weapons.
And if you allowed your property to be used to commit a crime, you could also have it taken away.
Homes where drugs were being sold out of. It used to be that those houses were sort of off limits. That's no longer the case.
Now on Friday, you gotta come back and see this as we finally go out with the gang unit when they go back out and pick up the people that they say have been causing all the problems. But they do need a little extra help from the SWAT team. Amazing video, and you gotta come back on Friday night to see the rest of it. Jamie Virgen, Fox News at 9. Action is faster than reaction. So when the choice comes to shoot or don't shoot,
Every time we go through the door, it could be a potential shootout.
Sergeant Kyle Williamson hopes that he has helped the officers in the gang unit to make that choice. That's why he makes them practice as if they're out on the streets of San Antonio, where they know a new crop of gang members and drug dealers is changing every day.
They evolve, they learn from what they do, and unfortunately, they get better at what they do sometimes, and we have to just evolve too and grow with it.
Do it one more time, and then we'll bump it up to 5 guys.
Keep up with the times and make sure we train that much harder.
The training is necessary for this tight-knit group as they get closer to Enforcement Day for Operation Triple Beam Alliance, with the support of the U.S. Marshal Service.
The Marshal Service's model, the Operation Triple Beam, is really just coordinating all the expertise of different law enforcement agencies' anti-gang efforts at one specific target.
If there's any other threats, there's windows, he's got to punch across and take those.
A multi-agency team led by SAPD's gang unit will serve warrants on alleged drug dealers and gang members that they've been investigating and now believe have been the leading cause of violence since late last year on the city's east side.
We're going into their house. You know, they know what's in there. They know where their guns are. They know where their knives are. They know what they already have a pre-plan when we do show up. So we got to go there ready for anything.
Furniture in here has a different purpose.
Don't move! When you mix people and people who want to hurt us, and along with that, they're just obstacles that get in the way of us doing a safe job.
Officer Ferguson is the only female on the gang unit. She says this training helps her feel ready for what's to come.
We're putting these guys away. It is good for the community.
Shooting an AR-15 or a shotgun. It's hard to imagine doing a drive-by and thinking you will only hit your target.
It doesn't make sense if it's somebody doing a drive-by. There could be a kid standing there.
From 25 yards, it's very deadly. It's a deadly gun, that's for sure.
With more training under their belt, the gang unit has to serve some warrants before the last 2 days of the operation. Those are known as enforcement days.
Anybody want to see it again?
As officers get ready to serve a warrant, they admit that many things go through their head.
Every time we're getting ready to go and we're in the van, I'm saying a prayer every time before I go. For the guys, for me, for everybody, just for everybody to be safe.
Say a quick prayer and have your peace with God and everything, and do what you got to do.
Say a prayer to myself and go.
On Wyoming Street, the gang unit picks up one man. Terrence Black is already on probation for selling drugs. From there, officers then head to another home on the northeast side to serve a warrant. Here they find a bag with $17,000 in cash. They believe it belongs to the narcotics organization Black and Alvin Butler were operating.
Anyone involved in the sales of illegal narcotics generates a great amount of money.
But the gang unit doesn't always go in first for these warrants. Some warrants need a little extra help from another specialized unit.
When we look at an individual's criminal history and we know that this guy has a history of violence or a history of weapons, then we go to the SWAT team. That's what they're empowered for, that's what they're placed for. And so, those guys train all the time. They're very good at what they do, and we give it to the guys that are best suited to do it.
Doors to the home are reinforced on the inside, so for SAPD, this was the safest way to go in. Inside, Emmanuel Hemphill is arrested along with another man that was wanted for parole violations. His mother, Catherine Hemphill, was also charged and released on federal charges for being a part of the drug deals. On Monday night, the final 2 days of enforcement will test out the gang unit's resilience.
It's just not about an arrest or a slash or a number. And I think the guys realize that early on, and the residents will know, because certain elements will be removed from that part of town.
That's on Monday night. Jamie Virgen, Fox News at 9. For 5 months, 150 days, 3,600 hours. Some of those who were causing bloodshed and violence on the city's east side were under a more intense magnifying glass.
There is going to be no way that they're going to escape. We're going to get them.
SAPD's gang unit, with the help of their federal partners and the U.S. Marshals, knew that their intense investigation couldn't focus on what may seem to be the obvious problem.
It wasn't so much related to any particular identified gang. So it's kind of drifted a little bit away from the actual gang on gang kind of thing. And they basically boiled down to, you know what, I just want to make money, quick, fast money, and that's the way to make it.
Out here on New Braunfels, this is the way the street-level drug deals go down. Officer Mike Oliva says they're easy to spot.
Sometimes it comes with a job, just
I guess on-the-job training, you could say, is intuition sometimes.
Convenience stores seem to attract the most traffic.
Look, there goes a kid in the white. You see that? Car pulls up, doesn't want no gas. Kid in the white goes over there. Guy in the white tank top reaching in his right front pocket. Look, he's gonna go get the stash.
The younger kid runs off and is believed to return with the dope. When the car takes off, officers in marked vehicles make the stop. Inside, they find a gun and a bag of bullets. But those selling out in front of convenience stores aren't the biggest problem.
The illegal drugs, the sales of illegal drugs occurring within the neighborhoods at certain homes has become very profitable for these individuals.
As the gang unit detectives made their cases, getting ready to wrap up the operation, uniformed officers continued their daily duties. Officer Sean Hernandez chased the suspect until he caught him. When he checked his name, he ended up being a wanted sex offender.
We're going to execute an arrest warrant with a felony warrant for evading.
A simple stop for a broken taillight ended up in a chase. Inside the vehicle, they find pot. The passenger took off on foot. The driver was left with the goods and an upset mother.
Unfortunately, I really believe that you have not been forthcoming with me. And I'm a little disappointed.
And if that's not enough, Fiesta is in full gear. From helping out at Hemisphere Park for the Korn concert to the Tejano explosion at Cattleman Square. Although in the middle of a major operation, the unit still has to carry out other duties.
We get back on point pretty quick, but when our services are needed elsewhere, then we'll move those resources as quickly as possible. And
2 nights before the end of the operation, the gang unit heads to Hay Street with the SWAT team. The house they will enter is believed to be a trap house where they've seen drugs being sold. 2 men known to police, Juan Antonio Lozoya and Samuel Johnson, now face charges of conspiracy, maintaining a drug house, and distribution of narcotics. So this is Enforcement Day. We're now going to a separate location where they will be picking up someone on a warrant. We are not going to be able to get out of the vehicle so that we don't jeopardize anything that they will be doing for the next couple of days. Our first stop takes us to Corliss Street. We're very familiar with this area. We have done stories on 526 and 530 Corliss.
I can't say that I think demolition is the answer.
We were told back a few months ago that those orders were stopped by the councilwoman in charge of this area. Councilwoman Ivy Taylor told us last year that she asked for the demolition not to take place while her staff worked with the elderly owner. The man police were looking for, Lane Greenwich, was believed to be in one of these houses. And at the same time, all over town, teams led by the U.S. Marshals, Bexar County Sheriff's Office, ATF, and the DEA were also picking up other warrants.
At that moment, that day, when we're executing a warrant, when we're picking up an individual, we're all the same. We're all the same.
After months of working on this operation, this is the last day, the last push to get the guys that are still out there with warrants. Today we're going to a man who claims to be one of the original members of the Wheatley Courts gang. Tyrone Adams is found at his home on Kenmar. Later in the afternoon, one of the last warrants is picked up. Devonshea Fisher is delivering a weapon. In his fancy red Mustang, officers managed to stop him right smack in the middle of a busy corner off Rittiman Road. Tuesday night, he's the face that no one can forget. The 6-year-old child that got shot on Christmas Day. What do you remember that day that you got hurt?
That my mom was screaming.
His family fled in fear. Tomorrow night, you will see why this innocent child is still struggling. Jamie Virgen, Fox News at 9. This is not the way any child should spend Christmas Day. But for 6-year-old Javante Davis, this is the brutal reality that he will never forget.
My mom was screaming.
Were you scared?
Yeah. That my dad, he was holding me.
Javante was shot several times as his mother, Kiki, tried to shield him with her body on Belmont Street.
My boyfriend threw him to me, and it was a part where I just put him, like, shelter my body along the side, because they were just on the other side of the car. So every time I got hit, he got hit.
Davis says it seemed like every time she screamed Jesus, the shooter fired off more rounds.
At this point, I'm like, somebody's trying to kill me. And I didn't know why. I had did nothing to nobody.
Javante and his mother have since relocated out of state. Davis contacted us after hearing about our series with the SAPD gang unit. Javante's face is the one officers in the community relate to the East Side crime that Operation Triple Beam Alliance attacked.
It brings that unconscionable consequence of gang violence to the forefront, and it's heartbreaking.
After 5 months, the gang unit, with the backing of the U.S. Marshal Service and help from other federal and state agencies, arrested almost 750 suspects. Of those, 170 had gang affiliation. Officers also seized large amounts of cocaine, marijuana, heroin, and meth. And most importantly, over 70 weapons were taken off the streets.
Just removing one gun from the streets, I think the guys believe that, you know what, we've stopped something, even if you remove one.
Although the operation focused on the East Side, police say the whole city was being affected, and they'll benefit from the information they gathered for years to come. Case in point, 7 kilos of cocaine and 468 grams of ice were seized on the West Side, a result of the last operation.
What's going on, sir?
It's me. I was just here working on a truck.
At the judicial level, there will also be some changes. The DA's office, with the help of the police department, is now implementing a program called Identified Priority Offender, or IPO, that will put more scrutiny to plea deals.
The first chairs in the courts are dealing with those. They're going to get tougher plea bargains.
But the most gratifying feeling for officers involved is the impact this operation will have on residents.
I feel that, that they're doing their job and our tax dollars are going to work. They're actually being put to use. It's right here.
Detective John, who's been with the gang unit for 20 years, also hopes that neighbors will realize that the police department can't fight crime alone.
This is their neighborhood. It's not the gang's neighborhood.
If we can restore their sense of security, then it is a success. And I truly feel that we've done that.
These people are heroes. True heroes. The guys going out every day, risking their lives for people they don't even know to make the community safer.
Something that doesn't seem to be lost on 6-year-old Javante, whose mom told us what he wants to be when he grows up.
You want to be a police officer? And why do you want to be a police officer?
Because I help others.
Gianni Virgen, Fox News at 9.